Travel Television met with Arthur Fromer, the father of the modern-day travel publication, to reflect on his 50 years of writing travel guides. Mr. Fromer reveals his favorite place to travel. Volunteers in the post-Katrina effort find their experiences life-changing. We'll speak with one volunteer who has extended his visit to the Gulf Coast to continue helping others. Follow the lead of a church group and come to the Gulf Coast to help people rebuild their lives. We'll hear the stories of one group who has come to volunteer. Travel Television brings you the 411 on a 311, or what you can bring through airport security checkpoint in an interview with TSA. Turning a summer vacation into an experience that's life-changing is usually part of what the volunteers take away from their time in the Gulf Coast. We'll talk to two girls working in the lower 9th Ward. Travel tips will focus on a site on how best to travel with kids. All of these stories in this episode of Travel Television. And now, on to our first stop.
It was exactly 50 years ago, in 1957, that I wrote a little book called Europe on $5 a Day. I wrote it upon getting out of the Army. It was purely a hobby activity. I am a lawyer by training, and I was looking forward to commencing the practice of law. But this little book touched off a responsive chord among the public. It became an immense bestseller. It is credited with having initiated a flood of tourism to Europe that up until then had been visited by very small numbers of Americans. And that was 50 years ago. And that little book changed my life. It catapulted me out of the practice of law into the publication of travel guides. And the Fromer series now consists of over 340 books, guidebooks, that are published each year to dealing with every city, island, nation in all the world. We're almost running out of destinations to visit, but they are the largest selling travel guides in the United States. They account for close to 1 out of every 4 travel guides that are sold within the United States. And this all got started 50 years ago. It's quite a touching and emotional moment for me to realize that 50 years have passed. There are a great many guides. One of our major bestsellers is a guidebook to Orlando, and it's a no-holds-barred, candid, critical appraisal of all of the options that you have when you take a trip to the land of Mickey Mouse. It's written by a very fine young writer who is immensely critical in his judgments, both pro and con, and I think the public has responded very well to that book. We have a very popular internet site that supplements the information on our travel guides, but amazingly enough, the internet has not cut down on the number of travel guides that are being purchased. In fact, they are selling at an historic rate. I think that the public has come to realize that they must have a travel guide when they go on a trip. It's one thing to ask a friend to recommend a hotel for your next trip. It's one thing to go to a lecture about travel and ask people their recommendations, but it's another thing to read a travel guide that has been written by a person who devotes his or her life to a particular destination. Most of our guidebooks are written by people who actually reside at the destination. They literally spend their lives reviewing the hotel situation, the restaurant and sightseeing situation of a particular activity. And I will go to my grave claiming that the information that you get in a travel guide, not necessarily ours, but in any of the many travel guides that you can choose from, is better than the information you will find in the so-called user-generated websites. My favorite destination in all the world is the city of Paris. It's not some exotic, remote place. It's an easily reached city that I think is on the very frontiers of all the subjects that interest us, whether it be literature, whether it be cuisine, whether it be music, art, dance. I love returning to the great city of Paris. The best-selling travel guide is probably a travel guide that has recently been written by my daughter, which is called Pauline Fromer's New York. It's a guidebook to New York City to which she devoted 3 years of her life. And my wife and I accompanied her many nights when we would go to these unknown little basement restaurants that she was turning up all over New York City. But the book is now, it's in its second printing. It's selling to beat the band, and I'm just so delighted that the name Frommer will now go into a second generation, namely that of my daughter, Pauline Frommer, who's now creating her own series of travel guides.
Hurricane Katrina created destruction to the United States Gulf Coast that was unimaginable in size and scope. The devastation has uprooted whole communities, and over 100,000 homes were damaged or destroyed. Massive flooding in New Orleans, because of the failure of the levees, flooded neighborhoods and forced people and animals to flee to high ground. It was months before the water receded, and by that time the damage made returning to the homes difficult and dangerous. Water damage destroyed all of the personal property and required that everything that came into contact with the water be removed. This included appliances, flooring, and all interior walls, a process known as house gutting, which is then followed by a treatment of bleach to arrest the spread of mold. The work is hard, expensive, and difficult to accomplish, especially if the homeowner has been evacuated to another city. To help the residents begin the process that for many includes accepting the reality that all of their possessions have been destroyed, several organizations have created teams of volunteers who have traveled from around the United States to help begin this process of rebuilding and healing. These volunteers are in many instances foregoing their vacation time to help, and their stories will be told.
My name is Rick Rectine. I'm from Rolla, Missouri. Came down in about mid-May to help my brother out, Mike, who's in charge of AmeriCorps, New York chapter, Seneca chapter here in Bay St. Louis, and fell in love with the people down here and the work that was going on. Really captured my heart. I went back and picked up my youngest son, and we came down. I've been here ever since. My other son's been down. My mom and my dad have been down here. It's kind of a family affair. But working with St. Rose de Lima Church here in Bay St. Louis, also with Hands On out of Biloxi, which is having a site here in Bay St. Louis also, for volunteers wanting to come down and get some work accomplished. St. Rose de Lima Parish takes basic responsibility for re-roofing homes, gutting homes, drywalling, taping, mudding, and go ahead and finishing them out sometimes on different bases. I'm in charge of the construction of the homes. We have a lot of different teams working different things. I know we've done 60-something roofs since the storm down here, and have got a lot of families back in their homes, or at least big steps back towards their homes. The money comes from different churches around, the dioceses that have adopted the Catholic Church here, and other churches and other individuals, and they've done a world of good down here.
To see volunteer stories, go to www.projectkatrinavolunteers.net. Katrina Aid Today is a consortium of 9 nonprofit organizations formed to provide long-term assistance to families who were affected by Hurricane Katrina. Catholic Charities, one of those participating organizations, has received a grant of $12 million, which will be utilized by local Catholic charity agencies in the 3 states affected by the hurricane. Catholic Charities has provided temporary housing to over 21,500 people and direct financial assistance, including food, medical help, and training. The Catholic Charities has recruited volunteers from churches throughout the United States to help with these efforts. Volunteers have helped clean up efforts for those who cannot afford the costs for rebuilding. We will visit with some of those volunteers.
Well, I was asked why I came down here, and anybody with a heart, with a conscience, how can you not come down here? I mean, look at this place. 1 year later, how much there is to do. And if everybody in this country, if every person volunteered 3 days, this could be done in record time. The volunteers are tapering off every week, every month. We're the largest group that's been down here in a month, and we've only got, 37 people, something like that. It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. Family homes that are just gone. I've had I'm a 4th generation in the home I live in, and if it was anything like this ever happened, I don't know. It's just devastating. You can't put it into words. You have to come down and experience it and help.
My name is Marianne. I'm here with the St. John Evangelist Mission team. And the reason I'm here is I've traveled all over the world. I've seen palaces and castles. I've stayed in a few. And I've also seen poverty all over the world. Because it does exist all over the world. This was my opportunity to come here in the United States and do my part, a little drop in the bucket, but my part to counter some of that, the struggles that people down here having. So I'm starting here at the USA, and hopefully we'll make a big difference, because we believe that faith has no boundaries, and that's why we came down here.
My name's Helen Rutkowski. I'm one of the representatives of the mission team from St. John Evangelist Parish in St. John, Indiana. And this is our first adult mission team. We have 37 people on the team. We had the entire parish support this effort by doing a grocery bag project where they donated over 1,200 bags of groceries, toiletries, school supplies that we brought down in the food bank truck from Northwest Indiana. And we just feel that there's a lot of support, not only donations, but spiritual support for this mission. And actually, we were inspired by our youth. Our youth went to Appalachia for a mission team for the last 2 years, and they went to Kentucky and helped out families. And when it was them who inspired us to decide to do a mission team, and we could not help but choose the victims of the Katrina hurricane, because even after 1 year, it's incomprehensible that the need is so great. We gave up our Labor Day weekend. The kids gave up a week in the summer. It's the best time off that we could have taken from work to come and spend time to help others. And I would encourage everyone to do it. It's just the most rewarding thing to give back to somebody because of what we have, and we are so grateful for what we have.
To see volunteer stories, go to www.projectkatrinavolunteers.net.
Are you traveling with kids? If so, you are in luck. According to Carrie Schwartz of Expedia.com, the family travel industry is booming again. Before you set out on your vacation, be sure to visit TravelForKids.com. This site breaks down travel destinations by country and region, and even lists the most popular family-friendly tourist spots. TravelForKids.com will show you all the activities that will interest your children, so you can be sure there will be more than a hotel room TV to entertain them. So before you make your travel plans, be sure to check out this website to take your family on a vacation they won't soon forget.
Mark Murphy on location again from New Orleans. We are here overlooking Jackson Square and St. Louis Cathedral, where we're going to take you into the French Quarter in just a moment. St. Louis Cathedral is the oldest continuously operating Catholic church in the United States, and it's a beautiful backdrop from where we stand and where we're going to enter the French Quarter. When you look out in the direction of where I'm looking, which is towards the camera, you'll see about 100 feet away the Mississippi River, and it's one of the deepest points of the Mississippi River. It's also one of the most dangerous because it has a dramatic curve, and it's a great vantage point for you to stay up and watch some of the shipping traffic. But for now, let's take you into the French Quarter and show you what your clients can expect here in New Orleans. Many people think of the French Quarter as Bourbon Street because that's what you see in the media with all the partying and Mardi Gras and all the craziness. In reality, the French Quarter also is one of the best shopping districts anywhere. And we're on Royal Street. We're going to show you just some of the shops that are available here for your clients. In particular, we're going to take you into this beautiful antique store so you can check out some of the priceless objects that your clients can set their eyes on when they're here in New Orleans. Come on inside. And what would a video of the French Quarter be without a shot of Bourbon Street at night? Well, you just saw a taste of what New Orleans offers you, specifically with the French Quarter. And now we've wrapped up our little jaunt into the French Quarter with a stop at Café du Monde, a cafe au lait, and a beignet. The beignet is basically a donut without a hole. So we're enjoying ourselves, we're relaxing, and for your clients, Café du Monde is open 24 hours a day. So beginning, middle, or end of their trip around the French Quarter, they can kick back and relax right here. For Modern Agent TV, I'm Mark Murphy from New Orleans.
The internet resources have created a prolific amount of information that has and will forever change the information access for travelers, almost too much at times. Most search tools will return more than 100 million pages when the word travel is included. Among the selections included are government websites about security issues, travel conditions, and airport sites, and other interesting websites that have valuable travel tips. Each show we will highlight some.
Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis affect 1 million Americans by attacking their digestive system. Our son Marvin is one of them. As a mother, I know the devastating pain and suffering these diseases can cause. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation of America is searching for the cure and empowering patients through education and support.
For a free booklet, contact us at ccfa.org.
Help us cure Crohn's and colitis.
Friends and neighbors come to help in the Gulf Coast. Estimates of volunteers in the first year exceed 500,000. The scope of the problem will need twice that number in the next year.
Volunteers are the fuel that's going to rebuild the Gulf Coast.
It's just devastating. You can't put it into words. You have to come down and experience it and help.
How to prevent losing your personal belongings at the airport security checkpoint, next on Travel Television.
Hi, we're here talking with Amy Kudwa from TSA, and she's here to give us some helpful hints for travelers to save some time. Hi, how are you?
Doing very well. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. I just wanted to ask, I know that a lot of people have a few questions about shoes in the airports. What would you say are some tips for getting through security fast in regards to shoes?
Well, they all have to come off. That's the first tip. And so it's important to remember that wearing shoes that come on and off easily is probably very helpful. If you have to stop and unlace great big boots, that's going to take you time, and it's going to take everybody else behind you a little bit longer to get through security as well. So bearing that in mind should be helpful.
Okay, and also I know that some airports have started to provide socks for travelers. What does TSA think about that?
Well, that's at the discretion of the airport authority, and there are a number of airports that do that. It's certainly something that we know customers do appreciate. You can bring your own socks, or the airport can provide them for you, but you shouldn't always expect that they be there, and plan accordingly.
Okay, and I know that a lot of questions are coming up about the liquid, because some people just aren't sure about the amounts and how to package those. What are some regulations on those?
Well, the simple rule is 3-1-1, 3 ounce or smaller containers inside a 1 quart bag, and you're allowed 1 bag per passenger. So, and that applies to liquids, gels, and aerosols. So if you have any question if it can be defined as that, there is some discretion involved at the checkpoint, because we simply can't have an exhaustive prohibited items list. There's just too much stuff out there. So if you have any question that it might maybe be a liquid, either put it in your checked bag or leave it at home.
Yeah, so basically if you have, if you're not sure, just stay safe and keep it in the checked luggage.
Yeah, and being prepared is always the best piece of advice. It probably takes you about a minute at home to go through your purse, find out what's in there, make sure that you don't have any liquids or gels or other prohibited items. However, it's going to take us a little bit longer to do it at the checkpoint for you, because we have to fish through, we have to pull it out, we have to explain to you why we pulled it out, and if everybody in the airport line in front of you is doing that, you can figure out what that does to your wait time.
And is there a website that lists the prohibited items?
There is. If you go to tsa.gov/311, it's a fairly exhaustive prohibited items list, the common stuff that we see, toothpaste, shaving cream, what have you. However, we see things like spray cheese. We have people asking if you can travel with fish because they need water. We get all kinds of questions. We try to cover everything that we can, but again, just preparing yourself and really asking yourself the hard questions before you head to the airport helps everyone out.
Okay, great. Well, is there any other tips that you have to help travelers get quickly through the line?
Be prepared. The security line is not the only line you're going to have to stand in at the airport. If you're going internationally particularly, you got to allow yourself lots of time. You can visit our website, tsa.gov, and look at actual wait times over the course of the last 4 weeks for the time of day, day of week, and even checkpoint specific at the airport that you're traveling from. But again, things happen, weather, so it's always best to allow yourself more time than you think you need.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for coming to talk with us, and I hope that these tips have helped you, and if you would like, check out their website at tsa.gov. How does $250 towards a trip of your choice sound? Well, last Tuesday, Tanya Sumner of Illinois won that prize for a mere $17.57. With the new online auction site, Limbo, players bid for prizes, but the twist is the lowest bidder wins. The point of the game is to submit the lowest unique bid. This means the lowest bid that no other player has submitted. Bids are cast through your cell phone, so winning is literally at your fingertips. And the best part is joining and bidding are free. Prizes include iPods, televisions, cameras, even cars. And there is a chance to win $250 towards a trip every Tuesday. So to get yourself on a plane to your dream destination, check out www.limbo.com to see how low you can go.
Two girls working in the lower Ninth Ward tell their stories next on Travel Television.
Common Ground is a grassroots-based organization created specifically to respond to the devastation of the Hurricane Katrina. Common Ground's mission, according to their website, is to provide short-term relief for victims of hurricane disasters in the Gulf Coast region and long-term support in rebuilding the affected communities in the New Orleans area. Common Ground is a community-initiated volunteer organization offering assistance, mutual aid, and support. The work gives hope to communities by working with them and providing for their immediate needs by emphasizing people working together to rebuild their lives in sustainable ways.
This past spring break, some friends and I up at school thought there would be a good idea to come down for an alternative spring break and work on hurricane relief for Katrina victims. So that was just our idea as a group, and we came down kind of on our own. And when I was down over spring break, I realized how much it was a very moving experience, and sadly realized that there is not very much being done down here, and as much help as possible is needed. So after I left, I knew that I wanted to come back and make a second trip. So I made sure to have some time at the end of the summer to come back down. I was only by myself this time, but I'm down from Seattle and I'll be here for about 3 weeks, so I can try and make a little bit more of an impact. At least it's kind of all I can do.
Hi, my name is Liliana Johnson. I sat and watched the Katrina on CNN back last year at this time, and it's just so heart-wrenching watching it, being able to do nothing, not seeing everything that just the CNN chose to show. So I looked into going to school down here and wanted to do something actually that could help. So going to Tulane, and this is my first time to actually volunteer with a project that I'm really into. We We have a tool library around here. People can check out boots, goggles, masks, tools, and it's a really great project. It's not even work to me. I really enjoy coming down here. I'm originally from Iowa, lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico last year, and just wanted to come down to see what I could do. So a lot of out-of-state volunteers. So I'm trying to set up a team right now with Tulane or whoever it is, just to get a team for house gutting. We have about 400 houses to go. We've done, I think, about 200 already, but we really need people. So if you can ever come down, even if it's just for a week, you can always use people.
To see volunteer stories, go to www.projectkatrinavolunteers.net.
Back in their house. And also, I've been helping children. During the Christmas holidays, I was able to get clothes, food, toys, and even money from volunteers to give to the children that needed something. But one of the most important things that have happened, it hurts the children more than it hurt anybody else. And mean hurt the children cries when you go by the school and talk to them. They're crying. They saying they miss home. When are we going home? Where's my toys at? Where's my bedroom at? And it hurts us to see them sitting there crying every day. And you go talk to the old people, they saying that we won't be able to go back home because we have nothing to go back home to. And I keep trying to tell them, the Lord will make a way for us to get back home. And we're still waiting for somebody to help us get back home. But in the meantime, we can't stop doing what we're doing. We got to help somebody. And as I walk around, I want to go inside and let you see how many houses I have had people to come and gut out. I would say maybe about 30 or 40 houses that I had sent people down here to gut out. Along with sending them to gut out, I also have sent people down here in New Orleans to help churches be gutted out.